Hi guys, it's Mary. Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over 2021 best of makeup. And I've decided to do this different than last year. I still agree with everything that I've talked about. So I'm going to link that video below in case you're interested. But this year I've decided if I talked about it last year, I'm not going to talk about it this year. I think I have everything out of here that made it last year except for one thing, and I can't. It would be lying to say anything different. So remember, this may not be the thing that I do every day. It may not be my absolute favorite, but I want to tell you about new things I used in 2021. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with how I put on my makeup. Before I put on any primers at all, of course, I do my skincare. And these two things are actually skincare, but because they come before, I do them whenever I do my makeup. So that's how they get used. So I start out with these Derma E. This is the Vitamin C Bright Eye Hydro Gel Patches. And if you watch my Get Ready With Me's, you see that I have these on prior to my eye makeup. I think these do an exceptional job of hydrating underneath my eye and also providing a brightness to the underneath of my eye. As long as you make sure that when you take them off, they're not still wet. If it's still wet, it tends to pill with whatever I put over it. But if it's good and sunk in, which it usually is by the time I finish my eye makeup, then it works wonderful. It also serves another purpose in that it catches eyeshadow fallout. And the next thing is this. I put this on my mouth as soon as I get out of bed and do my skincare. This goes on my mouth so that I have all the crud off of my lips. Primers that I've been reaching for probably the most this year are from Laura Mercier. And that is the Pure Canvas Primer. Laura Mercier has sent this to me before, but I bought this one. They also have a Radiance one that I like. But this stuff here, this is my second bottle of this. It is the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Power Primer. Ooh, this is an essence and a primer in one, and it's fabulous. But the first bottle of this, I thought the dropper was broke, and I was dumping it out, so I went through it kind of fast. There's a way to do this. If you don't do it this way, it ain't going to come out. Take out the dropper, squeeze it, put it back in, then it comes out. Look at this. This stuff. It's very hydrating. Love that. My skin loves that since I've started to use Retin-A. Makes it feel so hydrated. Like I said, it's an essence also. But this turns into a gripping primer. If I'm being honest with you, the palette that gets used the very most is the same that won last year. This is the one that I reach for the most. And it absolutely wins my 2020. If you think I'm telling you that this is my #1 palette for 2020 because Mel Thompson is one of the best friends that I have, then you've not tried this palette. Because that's just not true. Is it true that I didn't want to say that this was my #1 because I figured you might say that? Yeah, that's true. But at the end of the day, I have to give it to Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson. A lot of times I use my Tiny Marvels palette with other palettes. So if I start out with a different palette, I may end up in here. I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 giveaways on this palette. I have a backup of this palette. I buy this palette all the time. This is my favorite palette. I'm not afraid of color. I love color. I love greens and blues, and I just love color. But lately it seems like I've been using a lot more neutrals in my eye looks. And one of the reasons that this palette here makes it is because it's both. It has some warm and cool tones in it, but it also has these blues, blue greens that I absolutely love. Now this was sent to me by Urban Decay, but the reason that it makes my 2021 favorites is because there's this look that I just love to do with this palette, and it's because of the colors. But there's also those more subdued colors. I really, really like this. This is probably my very favorite palette in the Naked series that Urban Decay has ever done. And the next one is actually kind of two. It's this nasty Glam palette by Natasha Denona, but it is also this tiny little Bibi. Now, I see that they have just released a mini Bibi, But this is like a micro one that came in this Sephora Favorites. Perfectly satisfied with those too. But I want you to keep in mind this blush also when we get to blush, okay? This is a really good cream to powder blush that I have been enjoying. I love the mirror in this palette, even though it is a one by, I don't know. I can see good enough to get the job done for what I'm doing, all right? Which isn't a lot because you only have these 5 shades here. I guess at the end of the day, my favorite concealer is always some concealer by Lancome. And Lancome, you played yourself. You just kind of put all of your other concealers out of business. This one is so good. This is Lancome's Tint Idole Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. Now, I do have a critique. I don't like this doe foot. So Lancome, because I don't like this doe foot, get rid of it. Serious, it's really flexible. I'm going to try not to flip concealer everywhere. You see how flexible that is. And it's awesome if you are the kind of girl who doesn't wear makeup, foundation. You just use concealer. This is awesome. It fits really well right in here. Boop, boop. Okay, you have to be really careful when you pull that out. Otherwise, you'll flip concealer everywhere. But I have 2 shades and a backup. So if you want to see the difference between the two, there they are. This one is 090 and this one is 110. So 110 is the one that I use on my face because it matches my face. And then I use 090 to brighten up underneath my eyes. Moving into foundation, I don't think it surprises anybody here that my holy grail is always Lancome, but it's always been Tint Idole. Since I started using Retin A, my skin needs more moisture. Normally, I don't go for the luminous foundations, but I found that I'm doing better with my skin if I'm using a more luminous foundation right now. So I'm going to tell you about 2 of my new favorite Lancome foundations and how I use them. And then I'm also going to share with you 3 other foundations that I think are really darn good and they're a lot more affordable. The first Lancome foundation is in the wrong bottle. This is a bottle that I bought off of Amazon and transferred it into because when my granddaughter was home for Thanksgiving, we were in here playing with makeup and she grabbed Momo's bottle of Lancome BX makeup. It's the Abosolu. It's a beautiful, nourishing foundation. Anyway, it's not in the correct bottle, but this is how much I was able to salvage of it. I use this in Absolute Pearl. Look how radiant this foundation is. Abosolu is absolutely gorgeous. This foundation just really is kind to a mature woman's skin. Unless you're oily. I mean, if you're oily, you may not like this. But if you're normal to dry, I think you would love Abosolu. Now, I've already told you that I use the Tint Idole concealer, okay, under my eyes and on my face. But sometimes it's just easier to take the Tint Idole. This is their new stick. I had the old one. I don't care for that. Okay, Lancome, get rid of that. No, I don't think this does a very good job at all. I think the best way to use this stuff is with your fingers. But all I do is I just come up to like my nose. There's a spot on my nose where I need just a little bit more coverage. And I'll put that on there, or the H spot that's almost completely gone now. Lancome is good to the last drop, if you ask me. Okay, coming down a little bit in price and still at Sephora. You guys are missing out if you don't try this. Bounce by Beauty Blender. This is the one that has a dropper. I love this stuff. I heard about this foundation from my friend Tara, and she just kept talking about it until finally I'm like, okay, let me try it. I mean, I don't see how for that price range, because I've never been shy about telling you guys that as I have aged, the one thing I really believe in investing in is a high-end foundation. I might get all the other stuff from the drugstore, but my foundation, I don't mess with it. It's got to come from a cosmetic counter or Sephora or Nordstrom. This showed me the error of my ways. Actually, not this one, but this is a good one. All right, this is really, really good. This is excellent. L'Oreal True Match Nude. This is the foundation I have on today. I love this stuff. And I hate droppers. So if in 2021, 2 foundations that make my favorites both have droppers, These are excellent foundations. The last one is also a drugstore foundation. It has a pump, but it's a serum foundation from Flower. This is called Get Real Serum Foundation. Really good stuff. I didn't show you the Bounce or the L'Oreal, did I? This is what this one looks like. Look at that. How juicy that is. Is that not juicy? Yeah, it is. And yes, I do powder down, but because of the juicy foundation, I can do that without looking all dry. Let me show you these two. Because you know I'm not going to quit using my powder. So if I have to change up my foundation, then I will. This one here's the L'Oreal, and this one is the Beauty Blender. You know, they're almost the same shade. But looky how that is. Okay, let's just spread this out over here and spread that one out over there. So what do they all have in common? They all have hydrating goodness to it. Two powders that knocked my socks off in 2021 are Nakia Joy's powder. Holy crap, does this girl know what she's doing with powder? Yeah, yes. Can I get an amen? She does know what she's doing with powder. This is Velvet Finish powder. Yeah, that's the powder I have on today. Love it every single time, no matter what foundation I use. This is great. You have to get it from her website. So if I'm in a hurry, Huda Beauty. Yes, baby. And this is in Cupcake. This powder is sentimental for me, because this was something that Mel kept trying to talk me into. And I'm like, no. She's like, trust me, you can wear this. I'm like, no, it's a baking powder. I don't bake. You don't have to bake. It says easy bake, loose setting powder. So you tend to think, well, you can't use it if you're older because you don't bake. It's unfortunate that it's called that, because this is a fantastic setting powder. You don't have to bake with this powder. Mel did. Mel would put it under her eyes and bake with it, but I don't. I just take my damp sponge into this, got this mesh right here. I just put that in there. This is the most silky. I love this stuff. I take it in Cupcake. Then the finishing powder that I love the most, I'm not going to talk to you about. I said I wasn't going to, but I'll tell you what. Laura Mercier came out with something that kicked its little butt. It's almost as good as Abosolu. But when you consider that you get more product and half the price of Lancome's Abosolu, Laura Mercier's Light Catcher is freaking awesome. And you may notice that there's a luminosity to my skin, and it is coming from this. That's what this is. They say it's a setting powder. I wouldn't call it that. I'd call this a finishing powder. Do you see that luminosity? This works best, by the way, with their puff. They sell a puff for like $15 or $16. If you're serious about this powder, do yourself a solid and get that puff, because that puff will put this on and melt it right into your skin. And I've got several puffs around here. That puff works best with it. But you see that? Okay, take the puff and just buff it into the outsides of your face, on your forehead or what. But I'd stay off my pores with this. I'm going to jump out of order here because I've only got 2 of these products, and because of the product I just told you about, the Light Catcher powder, I don't use highlight as much as a lot of women do, but there are 2 highlights in 2021 I fell in love with, and that's these. This one here is a cream one. It's called Day Glow by Flower Beauty, and I really love this stuff. Look at that. It's just gorgeous. If you want to just tap a little bit on your cheeks, across the bridge of your nose, this is so beautiful. And a lot of ladies find that they can control their highlight better if they are using a cream. So this is excellent. And the next one is by YSL. It's called 3D All Over Glow, but like the Laura Mercier powder, I just want to tell you, yes, you can use this all over your face, but I only stick to the sides of my face with it, and I stay off of my pores. So you could use this all over, get you a really fluffy, airy powder brush, and take that, go over it, knock some off. You could go over your whole face. I've done that before, but I'm just very careful because I do a lot to kind of minimize my pores, so it doesn't make sense to me then to bring highlight over the top of your pores. So while this is an all over powder, I I don't use it all over. I use it as a highlight, a subtle highlight. This setting spray in 2021 became my girlfriend, Charlotte Tilbury. This is fantastic. That'll probably be my setting spray from now on. I love this setting spray. Sometimes a setting spray, depending on who it is, when I put it on, everything looks a little bit worse than it did before I put it on. It's like, I don't know, it sunk my powder into my pores in a weird way, and I come out with polka dot looking pores where there weren't any before I set it. To me, this is better than the Lancome because of the sprayer. The sprayer on this never puts out those big droplets, and that's what I have against Lancome now. I love this one. Love Lancomes, I really do. But this one here has never done that to me. Moving into bronzers, I can't tell you the one that I really honestly use the most because I did that last year. So if you want to know what it was, watch the video linked below. But if I'm not using that one, then I really love my Wayne Goss palette. I've got a few here. Wayne Goss. I love this side right here to contour with. And if I'm going to use like the whole bronzing thing, I usually will run between these two as a bronzer, this one as a contour, and I appreciate how big that pan is. In 2021, I discovered the makeup outlet, and that let me try some more from Bobbi Brown. Okay, Bobbi Brown is a brand that I've just not really explored that much of. Now, the peculiar thing about this is it's not going to show up. But take a brush to it and you've got one beautiful bronze look on your face. This bronzer is called Illuminating Bronzer Powder, and I have it in Aruba. Yikes! Holy smoly, this is fantastic. This bronzer and me get along really well because it's more cool toned. So yeah, I've got, what, 3 things in here from Flower Beauty? Hey, way to go, Flower. You're doing a really good job. I really love this bronzer. It's called Heatwave Luminous Bronzer, but it look really good on the skin. Blush. I just can't seem to not buy blush. And I have a few here. And believe it or not, I think I've done a really good job of narrowing this down. Corderosa by Sigma. Well, you know I've always loved that blush, but look, it's in here. It's in this palette. And Sigma really, really does an excellent job on powders, blushes, eyeshadows. What I usually do is mix these two together. Love them. If I want a more radiant blush, I'll hit down here. But right there, Corderosa, that's such a good blush. I have a single pan of that one too. Love that blush. Love this palette. I only have one Pat McGrath blush, and regrettably, there's that imprint on there that I never want it to go away. So I'm like very cautious how I do it right over here. And when you think about it, that's stupid because it's going to wear down over there, and then there's going to be a hole right there, and then this rose. This one is in Divine Rose, and it's a divine rose. Just a flush of color that just looks so pretty. You know how women would pinch their cheeks to get just that hint of flush. Yeah. This Patrick Ta palette might scare the crap out of you. Look at those outrageous colors. This was a gift to me from my friend Michelle. She sent me this. These are some bright colors, right? But don't get it wrong. These top 3 are creams, and there's this thing that goes over the top of it. Let me show you why you don't need to be scared of this palette. They look scary, but watch how these blend out. Not scary, just the most beautiful flush of color. Now the powders, on the other hand, yes, you better go very lightly with these powders, but if you do, take your brush, just dab it in there and tap off on your hand, and then do this. Don't go on your cheek. So pretty. All right, Laura Mercier, and this one here is actually my favorite, and I bought this one in Sangria. But I have, I think, all of these blushes. Laura Mercier sent them to me, and the ones that they didn't send me, I went and bought. This one is Sangria, my favorite. These blushes by Laura Mercier are mwah, yes, but I'll tell you what, honey, if you're looking for a cream blush, she gets it for me. They're not too creamy, so they don't go completely away. And they're not too stiff. You know how it is when you get a cream blush that's too stiff and you can't blend it out? Not these. Laura Mercier has got it going on with their cream blush formula. For crying out loud, nothing, I don't think, is better than Laura Mercier's cream blush. I don't typically like cream blushes that much, but I do love that one. Wonder 2. These knocked my socks off, and they sent me 3 of them, and 2 of them I sent to one of you in a giveaway. You won something, and I sent 2 of these blushes off with you because I have so much, not because I don't love them. This is so interesting. It feels like a creamy powder, almost like Natasha Denona's cream to powder. So pretty. And it has a cute little mirror in there, and look at that, it's so pretty. I just love this. You can use this with your fingers, or you can take your brush and go right into it because it's a cream powder formula that performs well either way. In the eyeliner category, we have 3 that I'm going to tell you about. I've told you, so we're just going to do this really quick. Milk was my favorite. I loved it. An eyeliner for me has to stay in the waterline. In 2021, I had to replace it, and this is what I found. And in order of which ones I like best, Patrick Starr's One Size, Point Made, and Lancome's up to 24-hour Drama Liquid Pencil. This one's in French Chocolate, and Too Faced Killer Kajal. These 3 here worked for me in my waterline, and so that's why they make 2021. Want to know the truth about what mascara gets used the most around here? Probably need to look at last year's video, but in 2021, I found 2 stellars. One was one that I've used way back, long time ago. And rediscovered it. You know, I saw it at the drugstore and went, oh, I used to love you. And that's the L'Oreal Telescopic. I love this. Lengthens your lashes like nobody's business. Look at that. It's really flexible. So like Benefit's Big Bang mascara, the wand stretches with your lashes, gives you this enormous long looking lash. I mean, I just really love this. And I was like, oh yes, I remember you. I remember why I loved you. This just really, you can like go once through your lashes and that's it. Or you can just keep going and build it up, and people be like, how come your lash is so long? And you'd be like, I'm not going to tell you that it's L'Oreal Telescopic. And I have had multiple times this past year where somebody said, my gosh, what mascara? And it is Clarins Supra Volume. Love this mascara. It is fantastic. So it's got your traditional kind of Christmas tree-ish wand, a little bit bigger than some. This is a great formula. And the funny thing is because Clarins is known for like their plant-based stuff, I thought, this is going to be a sucky mascara, man. I don't even know if I want to give this a try. And I put it on and went, what? This stuff is fantastic. I don't have any lipsticks that these lipsticks don't beat for longevity, for price, for nourishing, and just how they feel on your mouth. And I gotta say that Lisa J from BK Beauty slammed it out of the park with her Luxe lipsticks and these Everlast liners. Her and her husband, Paul, fund this themselves, okay? So they've just got limited right now what they brought out. But what they brought out, I thought was stellar as far as covering most of the bases for nudes. They said on my vanity, I love the formula. These lip liners, take a look at this. If you didn't already see my video on it, they are at a slant. If you're like me and you're one of these ladies who just can't overline because you feel like you look horrible if you do that, Lisa's lip liners will let you overline your Cupid's bow just a little bit, overline down here just a little bit, to where it does make your lips look fuller and you don't look like you just left with too much filler in your mouth, you know? I use this one the most. This is the one I'll probably have to buy first, okay? Because I use it the most, and that's Sweet Pea. I love Sweet Pea. I love them all. Okay, I typically just grab one, and whatever lip I'm going to get that day is a surprise because they all go together. They all look wonderful. I'm going to link the video, okay, because we don't have time to go into all that right here. But let me just say, this formula right here, this is what I'm talking about when I say nourishing, don't need a gloss, not slip sliding all over your dang face. It's beautiful. It feels good. When it first goes on, you feel like, oh my gosh, that might slide. But it don't. And it's not because of the lip liner either, because I've put it on without the lip liner. And for some reason, this nourishing, wet-looking formula settles down and stays. And you're left with just a beautiful, not dry looking, not too slippery, moisturized mouth. Perfect. Congratulations, Lisa. I mean, you did it, girl. You absolutely did it. You did that thing. On that note, I'm going to get out of your hair and tell you that I hope that you've had wonderful holidays. I don't know where we are in the holiday season, so I don't know if we've had New Year's, Christmas, what we've had yet. But one thing I do know, this was the best that I could give you for 2021. Do you have anything else I need to know about? Put that below. Always remember, you are the best part of the Fritzy family. And if you're not having a blessed day, just go be a blessing to somebody else. And until next time, love you. See ya. Bye. And I'm out.
I don't put on foundation. I don't put on foundation. I don't typically put on foundation as my second step. Lancome's concealer is a belly dancer, a belly dancer. Oh my gosh, I can't move my core like that. Aruba, 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 Jamaica. Oh, that's some Beach Boy song, right? Da 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 to Jamaica. I don't know the words to that song. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. I love the Beach Boys. Yeah. She's real fine, my 409. She's real fine, my 409. And my little disco. Oh, help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. All right, we're having a heat wave. A wonderful heat wave. But right there, I'm giving you the finger. And you might look at this and think, oh yeah, if I wanted to look like the happy hooker. Did you guys read that book when you were younger? Me either. Ooh, I love this. I love that color. I feel like getting really saucy. Saucy? I feel like getting saucy. I feel like I'm a salsa dancer when I wear sangria. Yeah, I don't know what the ch-ch-cho is. Moroccos? Moroccos? They're my Moroccos. My Moroccos. Does it count if I'm not talking about it? I didn't ever tell you about this before. If you are like one of these people and you overline and you go, oh my gosh, I look like